Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the month of January, and today I'm going to be talking about January 1st through the 7th. This is our weekly predictions, and for those of you that don't know what I'm doing here, I'm looking at each day of the week, and as we progress from each day, I'm telling you where all the planets are. And beginning with the moon is the most important planet in these cyclic processes because it moves the fastest. And what I do so that we can get a feel of what each day is going to be like for all of us on an individual basis as well as a global basis. We can see from where the moon is and where all the other planets are relative to the moon to be able to understand which each day is going to feel like for all of us. So this goes individually as well as for a whole for everyone globally. So I'm going to be talking about some of the individual feelings that we'll all have as well as the global repercussions that could be happening, because I'm not only talking about the moon, I'm talking about where all the planets are as they transit through the signs and make aspects to one another. This is what astrology is all about. So to give it reference, I am basing this on where the planets are from the moon, Central Standard Time. Now the moon moves about 1 degree every 2.5 hours. So throughout the day, many days it will remain in the same sign. And I'm going to be talking about the nakshatras that the moon's in. Remember, I'm a Vedic sidereal astrologer. So all of this is based on where all the planets are in the sidereal zodiac, not the Western tropical. And so I'm going to be basing this on the moon each day, Central Standard Time. So, what I'd like for you to do is down in the comments, tell me where you are. Tell me what country, what city, what state, so I have a better idea of where my audience is so I can gauge it better for you guys, because, when I'm talking about one day, it can be the next day in Australia. And likewise, in Europe, they could be ahead 6-7 hours, but make this relative to what I'm talking about from Central Standard Time. So let us begin with the new year. Wow, I cannot believe we're in 2025 now. What a monumental year. This is going to be a year full of change and a much needed change. A lot of it's going to be pretty chaotic, but it's a much needed change that we all need to go through to get to the other side, which is going to be magnificent. But let's start with this very changeable month of January. So let me begin here. I am looking at January 1st, 2025, and looking at this day, it is where the moon is going to be in Capricorn. So I'm looking at midday Capricorn, and Capricorn, the moon is also in the nakshatra called Shravana. I love Shravana. This is the nakshatra that gives the moon power. Why? Because Shravana is actually ruled by the moon. That nakshatra symbol is an ear, and of course it means take time to listen. But one thing I do see about this moon is that it is next to Pluto. And Pluto, as we all know, is very, very intense. Put the moon with Pluto, you've got intense motions all throughout the day. Another thing that's going on, and this will be relative for the next 3 or 4 days, is that Mars is in opposition to Pluto. And actually, they will be exact on January 3rd. But right now, it's within a degree. They are tightly opposed. Mars in the sign of Cancer makes things very susceptible to insecure feelings. Now, The fact that Mars is opposing the moon can make people really uptight today. People can be lash out with anger. But one thing I will say is that Mars is retrograde. And the fact that Mars is retrograde means that people are kind of pulling back with their feelings, their anger, which they are feeling intense emotions, but intense anger. But they're pushing it down because they don't know exactly yet how to express their anger. But it's building. Let me just say, if nothing on the outside world really happens, which I think it will, we're going to have a lot of events that people lash out in anger and attacks. It's brewing underneath the surface because retrogrades mean you push things down, especially Mars. Mars deals with emotions, energy, and Mars can really deal with our feelings of anger. Mars is aggressive and deals with conflict. When you put Mars in Cancer, another thing that happens, and I've mentioned this many times before, there's problems within the family. Cancer's all about family. So people are at odds, and the family unit is being threatened. People are not coming together like they should, and they're angry within the family. There will be a lot of divorces this year just because people are not dealing with their anger properly. But the moon opposed Mars. Be aware, people can lash out at you unexpectedly. So guess what? With the moon being in Shravana, just listen. Don't react. Don't overreact. And this goes for really the whole first week of January, because the last week of December we're dealing with it as well. But it's a continuation of anger, people lashing out at you. And Pluto makes it so intense. Pluto's about major transformative life changes. And that is exactly what's happening right now with this Mars-Pluto opposition. But you see, January 1st, this is New Year's Day, the first day of the year, and we have the moon with Pluto. Very intense emotional issues. Now, all at the same time, we do have Jupiter in the 5th house from the moon. So it is a day to be creative. So make your New Year's resolutions. And I guarantee you, this is the year that you're going to make it work. If you stick to the plan, this is going to work. Because we are more creative, we can see clearer. Things are starting to clear up this year. We've been in a fog, and we've been in a fog for a long time. Another thing that's going on currently is Neptune is coming together with Rahu, and they're in the 3rd house from the moon. Remember, I'm always basing this, since I don't have a time or a chart, I'm basing this on where the moon is. This is a valuable tool in astrology. Everything focused through the moon deals with our emotional body. So how do we feel? Neptune and Rahu, 3rd from the moon, be aware of deception. And let me just say this. A lot of things that have been hidden and illusions, deceptions, conspiracy theories as a whole, they're all being exposed. Everything is coming out to the open. Communications are going to clear. We're going to hear the truth. Now, Saturn is close to Venus in the same sign. They're in the 2nd house from the moon. So people are watching their money. They're starting to be more conscious of how much money they're spending. And with the sun being in the 12th house, this is a day to kind of pull back and be more reserved. So now let us go to January 2nd. All right, so January 2nd. We still have the moon in Capricorn, which, by the way, Capricorn does deal with business. It's business-minded. But it's very down to earth. But we're dealing with a latter degree in Capricorn. Therefore, the nakshatra on January 2nd happens to be in the nakshatra Dhanishta. And I know some of you asked me to say what day it is on January 2nd. The reason why I haven't, but I will, is because it's a different day in some countries from where I'm at, Central Standard Time. But let's just say today's Thursday, Central Standard Time, January 2nd. The moon sits in Capricorn, but in the nakshatra Dhanishta. And Dhanishta deals with timing. It means listen to your gut feeling. If you're feeling like, let me go to the coffee shop right now, there's a reason. You're being guided by your intuition and the timing. You never know what you're being led into and who you're going to meet. It's a positive. It's a good thing. Listen to that guidance, because this is all about timing, being at the right place at the right time. Now, all these planets are still relative to the moon most of this day on the 2nd, where people are more concerned about their financial matters, where deception, illusions are coming out into the clear, communications are improving, as well as Jupiter being in your 5th house from the moon most of the day. And this is good for our creativity, imagining what we want to manifest and create within this year of 2025. But we still have Mars opposing the moon most of the day today. But the moon is in the latter degrees of Capricorn. Probably by the end of the day, the moon will have moved into Aquarius. So this is, close to the end of the day, Central Standard Time, the moon will go into Aquarius. But the sun being in the 12th, it's still a day for deep introspection. January 3rd, this is Friday, Central Standard Time. The moon is in Aquarius at this point. And being with Aquarius, it just crossed over Venus, which is actually a positive. Moon Venus is a time for social events, coming together with people. Although the moon, for the most part, will be in the nakshatra called Shatabhishak. That nakshatra is profound. It is deep. It actually deals with healing. It's called the 100 Healers. And people that have their moons or planets in this nakshatra are generally into some kind of healing, whether it's spiritual healing or a doctor or emotional, maybe psychiatry, psychology, all those kind of things that help heal people. But it's deep. Going to the depths of the soul, understanding things. But as you know, it also is the Sky Watcher. It's the 100 Healers, but it is the Sky Watcher. And people that have this nakshatra strong are into anything with space, astrology, astronomy, and what I find really interesting, many times are interested in, are there aliens, extraterrestrials out there? And my thoughts are, well, you know my thoughts. I know there's extraterrestrials out there. But they haven't made contact where everyone knows this is going on. It's very, it's probably with the governments, because I feel like we need their help. But regardless, this is a time when people can have interest in this. This is on the 3rd, but most importantly, about January 3rd, Mars is exactly opposed Pluto. They're both 6 degrees. Pluto at 6 degrees Capricorn and Mars at 6 degrees of Cancer, retrograde, debilitated. This is like seething anger beneath the surface. And Pluto and Mars could be some kind of outbreak of attack or something. And even if it's not happening in a big way externally around the world, it's happening internally. People are feeling this energy of something's about to occur. There's something brewing underneath the surface. I'm telling you, this is for certain. Now, another thing I know is where Rahu and Ketu are on this day. Very, very significant. Rahu sits at 6 degrees of Pisces, and K2 sits at 6 degrees of Virgo. And we have the Pluto Mars at 6 degrees Capricorn and Cancer. The nodal axis is actually trining the Mars Pluto. And a trine is a full, in effect, 100% in power aspect. So it's like they're all conjunct, to be honest with you. So what does that mean? It means a lot. There is something big about to happen, if it hasn't already happened. But this is the energy of something that is very destined, fated events. And like I said, there's something that's about to explode, or it's a purging of what has been building for so long. Now it's here and it's happening. It's very emotional, and it deals with governments, it deals with leaders, all of the above. Because now we're actually looking at Mars. While Mars is in Cancer, by its 8th full aspect, quincunx by the way, it's aspecting the Moon and Venus. And the 8th aspect from Mars can represent issues around the 8th house, which can be endings and or death. Something's ending. This is the end of an era. Something is about to happen this month. This is the turning point on January 3rd. Yeah, and also the moon will come up and hit Saturn. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but this is heavy. This means you're going to feel a heavy energy and seriousness around the world. This is no laughing matter. This is a serious feeling that we're all sensing and tuning into. Now, Rahu and Neptune sit in the 2nd house from the moon. This is not a day to go out and spend money frivolously. Be cautious, be aware. Yes, there can be a lot of money that can be coming in, and maybe the stock market and everything's rising, but you may not see the full picture yet. So be very cautious and careful with your money. Now, Jupiter is in the 4th from the moon today, and it's Friday. I forgot to say that, January 3rd. Jupiter's in the 4th house. This is a good day to look for real estate, to move, to do something with your home, whether it be renovating, fixing it up, or just rearranging your furniture or decorating. It's a good day to focus your energy in your home. All right, so from the moon, Mars is in the 6th. Be cautious. This can put you in a position where you're impulsive, impatient, and accidents are possible. Mercury is in the 10th house from the moon, so new ideas with business come your way. So use this day to be creative with building new ideas around the business, and communications will be very strong and powerful this day in your work. So it's a good day, even though we have all this crazy energy with Mars and Pluto. This is a day that really concerned me the most. But it's still a good day to get things done around the office. But I just noticed another interesting effect for January 3rd. Wow. Mercury sits at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Uranus sits at 29 degrees of Aries, and they're in a 6-8 relationship, which is a quincunx. Yeah, this even leads me to believe there's even more activity with unexpected events that could happen and strike out, shake the world. This is earth-shaking. Mercury at 29 degrees of Scorpio is Gandanta. What is Gandanta? The last degrees of water, first degrees of fire. It's right at that juncture of changing signs. Therefore, this means that things are changing radically, but people are irrational.
when we have Gandanta planets. Mercury deals with our communications, our thinking mind. People are not rational. This is a day to lay low. Just remember I said that, because this is a day I feel something serious could happen globally in the world. Something is happening beneath the surface if it isn't happening out there where you can see it. This is huge. Now I'm looking at January 4th. This is Saturday, Central Standard Time. And what I'm looking at is the moon is still in Aquarius, and it's in the latter degrees of Aquarius today, but it is just midday crossed over Saturn. That creates this serious feeling and tone in the air. This is not a day to be having big parties or celebrations, because people are not in the mood. There's a serious feeling, and Mars is still exactly opposed Pluto. Very, very intense. And like I said, Pluto's major transformations, earth-shattering, and Mars's anger and attacks. Put them together, there's some kind of explosive event that could be going on globally and even for you personally. Take care of yourself. Do not be going out and doing anything irrational today. Now, Mercury has just shifted over into Sagittarius today. Even though it is 0 degrees of Sagittarius, it is still Gandanta, which means that people are not acting rationally. Gandanta means there is a sense of drowning, which means you can't get it together, you can't get a grasp on things. This can also represent that there can be major storms and severe weathers, shakeups around the world. Yes, Aquarius, the moon sits in the nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada, and Purva Bhadrapada can be a visionary, to see the future, see the past. It's like seeing everything all at once, but it is also depicted as a man with two faces. And that could be that someone is not who they appear to be. Now, you can believe whoever you want it to be, but there is somebody that's very deceptive. And meanwhile, Neptune and Rahu are still coming together. By the end of the month, they will be together. This breeds serious deception, and probably by that time we'll know what the deception is about. The things that have been brewing and boiling and purging and coming out. It's not easy, but we have to go through this. Another thing that's going on this month is the sun is in the nakshatra Purvashada. And today, the sun being in Purvashada, this nakshatra deals specifically, they say, with declarations of war. I don't know if this is what this is about, but interestingly enough, we do have the sun here while we have Mars opposed Pluto. Major outbreaks of some kind of monumental event. So today is January 5th, and this is a Sunday, and of course I'm working with Central Standard Time. So looking at this day, we have the moon in Pisces, early Pisces, just crossed over Rahu, and I'm looking a little bit around midday. And the moon in Pisces with Rahu, this is emotional stuff. People are reacting to everything on an emotional level big time. Plus we've got that Rahu-Neptune conjunction. So the moon has just crossed over Neptune and Rahu. What does that mean? Huge deceptive stuff going on underneath the surface, but you can feel it, you can sense it, and you know it. And in Pisces, Pisces can be ultra mega spiritual, and Neptune does too, but be careful of people that are involved in cults or mind control. things that are not real. This is a big problem, but it is a great day to go to the movies, get out of yourself, and go to another world through going to the movies, or watch a movie at home if you can't get out. But use this day to escape reality in a good way, not a bad way. And of course, this is a fabulous day to go to make sure you meditate, and remember that your imagination is more vivid and more extreme. This is sort of like a day to relax. It's a Sunday here in Central Time Zone, so that's perfect for that. Now, the moon is in the nakshatra called Uttara Bhadrapada, and Uttara Bhadrapada is ruled by the serpent of the deep. So it deals with depth, deals with going to the bottom of things, really understanding things beyond this world. So it is a day of spirituality and release. Jupiter sits in the third house from the moon in Taurus, so it deals particularly with, this is a day for great communications, but remember, you're not being totally clear, you're in another world. But it is a day possibly to write and be creative, because remember, the imagination is extended, it's expanded during this day. And if you have any brothers or sisters, it's a good day maybe to connect with them. And looking at Mars, the Mars-Pluto are still opposed to each other. This is the whole first week of January. They are opposed actually by sign, but I'm talking degree. They're very, very 1 degree apart from opposition. Mars is retrograde. Don't forget that. People are not being forthcoming with their emotions, and they're pushing down their anger, which can cause some pretty explosive reactions out of people. And also looking at this moon, Mars being in the 6th house can deal with, you got to pay attention to your health today. So take it easy. Don't overdo, and try to get some rest. Now, the Sun and Mercury are in the 10th house today, which means it's a day that, well, I hope you're not working too hard, but it's a day that you can sort of make plans for the coming week. Start to understand where you're going to be going with your work, your career, your business, with the Sun, Mercury in the 10th house. The Venus, Saturn in the 12th from the moon, it's actually a time to retreat, and it is still that emotionally people are more serious with this. Actually, Venus and Saturn being in the sign of Aquarius can be very detached at times, not forthcoming with their emotions. But let me remind everyone, with the moon with Rahu and Neptune, this is a day where people are going to be emotionally too extreme and not realistic about how they feel. Now I'm looking at January 6th, and this is a Monday, Central Standard Time. I'm looking at the moon is still in Pisces this whole day, and it's in the latter degrees of Pisces. Therefore, it's in the nakshatra called Revati. And Revati is actually a nakshatra that deals with traveling, and it's ruled by Pushan, god of travels, and actually protects you when you travel. So this is a nice day to get away, escape, travel, but still the moon in Pisces and in the same sign of Neptune, Rahu. People aren't being totally realistic with their ideas of what they want, what they feel. But like I said, it's a day of escape. So could be a good day to go on a trip. Jupiter is in the 3rd house from the moon. So yes, travel plans will work out well on January 6th. And even traveling to go see a sibling or, brother or sister around this time would work out well. So this would be the day I'd say go on that trip, relax and enjoy, and don't work too hard with Mars in the 6th house from the moon. But the Sun and Mercury are in the 10th house from the moon, which can mean it's a good day all around for work and being productive. Now I'm looking at January 7th. And with January 7th, we have the moon has just shifted into Aries. And when the moon is in Aries, people want things quick. They want it fast. Aries does not like to move slow. I always say people with a lot of Aries planets are the ones that get the most speeding tickets. But this is in the nakshatra Ashwini, and Ashwini is all about travels, moving fast. But it has its problems because it is ruled by Ketu. So this is not an easy time emotionally for people, but Jupiter does sit in the 2nd house from the moon today. And this is a Tuesday, so people are back to work this week of January. This is a good day for making money. So Jupiter in the 2nd, or spending, but most of all, money will be coming to you. So I suppose that this day, the stock markets, everything are doing well. Things are booming, things are expanding. Jupiter in the 2nd is a great clue to this. And another thing, Jupiter in the 2nd means your speech, you can express yourself, you can talk better, you express your words much better when you speak. Mars is in the 4th house, so be aware you might have some issues around the house. I wouldn't think it's anything terrible because actually the moon and Mars are in what we call Parivartana. Mars being in Cancer, ruled by the moon being in Aries, ruled by Mars. They exchange signs. So this actually, for a day, lifts the debilitation of Mars for a day or two while the moon is in Aries. The whole time it's in Aries. So this is good. Now, Mars being in the 4th house from the moon, you might get some work done around the house. And it might be a day where maybe you fix things around the house with Mars being there. But I think it's all good simply because of this mutual exchange of signs. Now, another good thing is that we have the Sun and Mercury. They're actually in the 9th house from the moon. And with them being in the 9th house from the moon, this is wonderful for spirituality, for coming together with reading new information, higher-minded information, learning new things, taking classes, reading a book. Pick up that book of what you've been wanting to learn this whole year and get going with it. This is a time to initiate new projects with the moon in Aries. And even Venus, Saturn together, they're in the 11th house from the moon. So it's a good time for meetings, business meetings, group meetings, coming together with old friends. Saturn does represent old, and Venus could be friends in the 11th house. So it's this day, things are starting to lighten up. It's starting to improve towards the end of this week. Because let me tell you, I saw a lot of intensity at the beginning of this first week of January. So this covers the first week of January, January 1st through the 7th, and we're off and running into a new year. So if this was interesting to you and you want more to figure out how this really affects you on more on a personal level, you're going to want to get my Galactic Planner, because what my Galactic Planner does is it takes your birth chart and it figures out all the transits and aspects to your individual birth chart. It's not just this big picture of how it's affecting people on a global level, it's on a personal level. When you get my Galactic Planner, you will get all the aspects delivered to your calendar on your phone or computer so that you know every day what it is good for you personally. So don't miss my galactic planner for the new year. Be guided by the stars. Don't make mistakes. That's what astrology should be used for, to prevent or to enhance things that prevent the things you don't want, to enhance the things you do want. So get the Galactic Planner. Go to galacticplanner.com. And remember, sign up for my free newsletter. You can get all my predictions written out and sent to your email address every week. Get that as well. And while you're at my website, do not forget to check out my Patreon. My Patreon offers so many things. You get my magazine, you get live classes with me, you get special videos that I don't put on YouTube, so they're exclusive just for you. And you get to see all my prediction videos come out before everyone else does. There's so many advantages. So join my Patreon, and with that, you will be becoming part of a spiritual community. So thank you for listening. I will see you there. Thank you.